everyone, it's Reagan and I'm coming at you from a new angle in my apartment. I just thought, based on this video's theme, doing it right near my Christmas tree would only be fitting, and you can see my wreath and trash can and vacuum cleaner in the background, but not everything can be perfect. So we'll settle with this. Today I'm gonna be chatting through my Christmas book haul, and this is always one of my favorite videos to film every single year for a variety of reasons, but since honestly graduating college for the past few years, it's been great because I honestly have been buying myself books for Christmas as like a personal gift, and what I've been loving to do is go to one of my favorite bookstores and just kind of browse, stroll around, and pick out some books that really catch my eye in like a really fun like bookstore way. I often do most of my book shopping online, but going in person is just like an entirely different experience, and it kind of makes me feel like a kid again, like I'm walking around and I feel like like the world is my oyster, if you will. So I did that this year and got some really fun titles I'm excited to show off. But I also have this stack of books as well, so I feel like I have some really great stuff. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right in. Before I jump into the actual physical books for this video, I did want to first chat about the books I've gotten from the library. That's right, I am working with Libby again, which is just so exciting because honestly, Libby is like my favorite app of life. It has changed my life since I started using it about half a year ago. But if you're not familiar, Libby is a free library-based app powered through the Overdrive technology, which if you're not familiar are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of local and school libraries that use the Overdrive technology to basically house their ebook and audiobook libraries. Libby is an amazing app because you basically just put your library cards on there, and you can put multiple on there, and you can rent, place holds, and download audiobooks directly from the app. You also keep a catalog of the books you're interested in. I personally have like a TBR pile on there just to kind of keep everything really organized. The interface is incredibly user-friendly and so easy to kind of track and organize your whole bookish life. Again, most excitingly, it's 100% free. All you need to do to be able to use the app and start checking out books is a library card from your local library. I have been using it because I read ebooks on my commute every day, either on my Nook or on my phone. Another great thing about the Libby app is that it kind of tracks where you are, so if you do switch devices, it's not a problem. It will save your location, depending if you read on your phone or an e-reader, for example. But it's honestly been amazing. I've been loving using my local library and getting my ebooks from there and audiobooks. It's been a lifesaver, and I love Libby. So if you're interested, I'll have a link down below, but I wanted to quickly chat through my ebooks I currently have on loan from my library. The first one is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, which is a book I have picked back up reading in November. I put it on pause a bit in November because I honestly was in a reading slump and I couldn't focus on two books at once, but this is an amazing Pride and Prejudice meets Downton Abbey meets magic novel. It's a huge novel, but we follow two characters who are both wizards in kind of high society England, and you first encounter them as they become friends, but ultimately rivals. It's so funny and entertaining. I love that I can loan it from my library because it's so huge. To carry around that paperback would be so incredibly inconvenient. So that's the first book I have. The second book I have rented from the library is Red Seas Under Red Skies. This is another fantasy novel I'm currently reading, and a bigger one, so one that's just not very easy to carry around, so I much prefer to have the ebook. I started this book at kind of the midpoint of December and I'm loving it so much. So being able to have the ebook for my travels has been so convenient, and I've just been loving it a lot. This is the sequel to The Lies of Locke Lamora, which is a really fun adventure Thieves Center fantasy story. It's been so great. So yes, again, big shout out for Libby for working with me for this video. I love their app so much. And again, if you guys aren't familiar, I'll have details down below, but seriously, download the Libby app if you have not already. It's seriously a game changer. But now moving on to the physical books of this video, the first one I have to show off is kind of amazing, and it is the Where's Millie Search and Find book. Clay actually got this for me as a surprise, and I just think it's honestly adorable. It's basically a Where's Waldo style book, but instead of Waldo, we're searching for Matilda in various settings. We got a dog show, there's a resort in here. She's just a very well-traveled dog. This is hilarious and honestly a little hard. Clay and I sat on the couch for a while trying to find Matilda in her various locales. Tricky book. Great gift, love this thing, I will have it forever. If you're curious, I'll have a link to it down below if you want to get yourself one for your dog, or if you have a dog lover in your life. It's just a fun and really thoughtful gift. Honestly, probably one of my favorite things Clay's ever gotten me. A little Matilda. Where's Matilda book? Going on to the few books I picked up for myself from the bookstore. The first one is Nevernight by Jay Kristoff. This is a book that's kind of honestly eluded me. It's one that I've actually read half of. I started this in college and I know I'm gonna love, well, I already read half of it and I really enjoyed it when I did read it. And for some reason I just never completed it. Now the series has 3 books out and it's a book series I know I'm going to love so much. It's a dark assassin style fantasy story. We follow our main character who is an assassin. She's basically seeking vengeance for the people who destroyed her family. It's dark, it's harrowing, and I know it's gonna be great. I love a dark YA adult. This was actually in the adult section of the bookstore, so this might actually be more adult, but I cannot wait. I also know it has footnotes throughout this book, which I remember when I was reading it the first time around, I enjoyed. I thought they were really comical, so picked this up. I plan on reading this pretty early on in the new year, as I feel like this series is one I'm gonna try to marathon in 2020, so this is the first one I got. Speaking of books I want to reread, I also grabbed Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. This is a book I mentioned I wanted to re-pick up so I could continue on with the next one, which is Wayward Son. So I oddly just didn't own this book anymore. I don't know what happened to it, so I got it again, and I actually really love the paperback edition. I think it's really fun, so I grabbed this. This, of course, is like a Rainbow Rowell's take on the Chosen One story, inspired by her other novel, Fangirl, where the main character writes fan fiction for this fantastical story. But this one, we follow Simon and Baz, romance, and all sorts of mysteries for them to encounter, and I remember really liking it, but I think I'd love it more the second time around, and I particularly want to continue on with this series. So that was a big reason why I picked this back up. It's kind of a really engaging fantasy book to read because it's written like contemporary, like it's very character focused, but it does have fantastical elements, but it's just like really sweet to read, you know? So I feel like I'll just fly through this. So I'm excited to have this back on my shelf. Next book I picked up is Gideon the Ninth, which I am pumped for. This has stellar reviews all over Goodreads, and I saw this in the bookstore and I could not say no. I don't know much about this, but the tagline really sold me. It said, lesbian necromancers explore a haunted gothic palace in space. Decadent nobles vie to serve the deathless emperor. Skeletons with an exclamation mark. It sounds like it's gonna be a lot of fun. Like a dark sci-fi space opera story, but full of like really interesting characters and space necromancers. I don't know. I've seriously never encountered anything like this, but that is exactly why I picked it up. Again, amazing, amazing reviews. So I'm hoping this is like hilarious and just so entertaining as well. Like, I can't wait for this. And the last book I picked up from the bookstore, but not the last book of this haul, is The Raven Tower by Anne Leakey. Anne Leakey, I hope I'm saying her name right, is a super famous author. She's particularly known for a science fiction series that she's written, which I believe I own the first book too, but I honestly don't read a lot of sci-fi. So when I saw her coming out with a fantasy story, I knew I had to read it. It's quoted by like everyone I've ever loved, including Patrick Rothfuss right on the front cover. This is also one of those books written by someone so famous they don't actually have like a synopsis on it. They just have quotes from famous authors both on the back, the front, on the inside, just surrounded by praise. And from the praise I have, you know, deciphered a few things, including that this is a powerhouse epic of humans and gods at war, deeply imagined and profoundly thrilling. It's an impressive piece of craftsmanship. It examines the details of power, politics, and the nature of divinity that can shape our ends. And then I think so from this, I feel like it has a lot to do with gods meddling with human lives and perhaps some sort of larger conflict. Again, I'm super excited about this. I'm really pumped to finally pick up a book by this author because she has just been on my list for so long. And based on all the praise this book has gotten, I feel like it's gonna be amazing. So win-win all around. Next book I have to show off is Long Bright River by Liz Moore. I'm so excited about this. I read Liz Moore's other novel, The Unseen World, and absolutely loved it. I think that was 2 years ago now. So her new release I had to pick up. It's actually a thriller, which I don't read a lot of, but given how much I love Liz Moore's writing, I figured I'll like it a lot. It's a story of two sisters, one Casey, who lives on the streets of Philadelphia as an addict, the other Mickey, who is actually a police officer, and they both haven't talked to each other in a very long time, but Mickey has always been concerned and always tried to kind of find her sister again. But then when a string of murders begin to shake Philadelphia, she especially gets incredibly nervous. This is a story that is told in differing timelines, and that we kind of jump all over the place. It jumps back from the past to the present, and I believe it kind of alternates like a family drama with the present day thriller that's also occurring. I really loved The Unseen World by Liz Moore. She has amazing writing, so I'm really excited to have this in my hand and will hopefully read it in the coming months. Next book I have to show off is The Glittering Hour, and this is a novel set, I believe, starting in the 20s, but goes all the way through World War II, so it's a story that spans 2 decades through a very changing time in British history. We follow 2 main characters, and it's apparently about like true love and heartache and all things lost in that time period. One main character is named Selena, and she's a rich socialite that's basically kind of like pushing the boundaries for women during her time period. Life is a whirl of parties and glitter and glamour, and she stays just kind of on the edge of scandal, kind of tiptoeing towards it, but kind of saves herself before it kind of just totally destroys her reputation during this time period. We also follow a man who is a struggling painter, and these 2 people meet and connect, and he is pulled into Selena's glittering world. However, scandal eventually occurs and their life is both thrown upside down, and it is said when tragedy strikes, Selena finds herself choosing what her head tells her is safe over what her heart knows is right. So I believe this is going to be an emotional love story set in a really interesting historical time period. So intrigued to have this. And hopefully I'll be reading it soon. Next book is Red, White, and Royal Blue. This is a super famous contemporary novel that I feel like everyone has read except me. This is a romantic comedy following 2 princes that I think fall in love, and I love everything about that. I think it's also being turned into like a movie or a TV show or something, but this just sounds like the romantic novel I need in my life. And it says true love isn't always diplomatic. Oh, I love it. I think royal stories are always entertaining. I mean, give me a Christmas movie with a royal setting, give me a regular movie with a royal setting. I'm always into it. And again, I've heard such lovely things that this is such an endearing and hilarious and romantic rom-com book. So I always like to have these kind of around, so when I feel like reading contemporary novels, I have something on hand, and this is one I have been really wanting to read, so I'm happy to have it. Last book I have to show off is Starsight by Brandon Sanderson. This, of course, is the sequel to Skyward. This is a really entertaining and honestly expansive sci-fi story by Brandon Sanderson. In it, we follow our main character, Spensa, who lives on a human colony on a planet that's constantly under attack. She basically goes to pilot school and is trained to kind of protect everyone around her, but like amongst all of that, there's this kind of larger mystery that's hanging over everyone. There's technology with like a hint of magic, and I loved the first one. I read it in one sitting. I've also already read this one, and I did really enjoy it, so I'm a big fan of this series. If you haven't checked it out, I would highly recommend, and yeah, I can't wait for the 3rd book because, oh yeah, Brandon Sanderson does that to you. Alrighty guys, that is my December/Christmas book haul. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you soon with another video soon. Goodbye!